I shall do what I must, Obi-Wan.
We start off with Mando and the child on an unknown planet. He's walking through grungy, spray-painted alleys of a corrupt gambling town. He enters a fighting pit den to meet up with a criminal named Gor Koresh. In the fighting ring, there are enslaved Gamorreans that are fighting in a death match. Mando, in a very trusting way, asks Gor where he can find more Mandalorians so that he can reunite the child with his own species. But Gor turns on Din Djarin and wants to take the Beskar armor for himself. Mando uses his whistling birds and his trusty vibroblade to incapacitate most of the attackers and then fights off the rest of the goons, some of which are Zabrak, which are the same species as Darth Maul in Phantom Menace, and if you played Star Wars Fallen Order, those are the guys on Dathomir, where a colony of Night Brothers live. As Koresh fled outside, he was apprehended by Mando and hung upside down from a light post. After being interrogated, he revealed that a Mandalorian could be found on Tatooine in the town of Mos Pelgo. Mando then left him hanging and shot out the light, allowing several hound creatures to advance on him while he was screaming in terror. Mando and the child head off to Tatooine to meet up with Peli Motto, who manages hangars 3 through 5 at the spaceport of Mos Eisley. We saw her in Season 1, Episode 5, and she's happy to see Din Djarin, and most of all, the child. The pod race maintenance droids start the repairs, and we see R5 unit from The New Hope with his combustion burns of his chronically bad motivator. From Peli Motto, he learns that Mos Pelgo is an old abandoned mining town that's not even on the maps anymore. He heads over there, but on the way, he stops to talk to Sand People. This is an important scene, as it shows his good relations with the Sand People and understanding of their culture. At Mos Pelgo, our Mandalorian enters a cantina to speak to the bartender, asking where someone that looks like him can be found. And right on cue, we see Cobb Vanth donning the famous armor of Boba Fett. Right away, we can see that this isn't Boba, as Cobb is very tall, lanky, and at this time, Boba Fett was rumored to be dead. They both sit down to drink some Camino Spachka, not the blue milk, and right away, Cobb gives himself away by taking off the helmet. Cobb tells him that he got the armor off some Jawas. Mando, due to his Mandalorian creed, demands the return of the armor. Marshal Vanth isn't a true Mandalorian and dishonored the sacred way by wearing armor that doesn't belong to him. After a brief but very tense standoff, they hear a disturbance, not in the Force, but in the earth, as the ground shakes. As they walk outside, they see a massive krayt dragon emerge from the sand and devour a bantha. The creature known as krayt dragon was first seen in The New Hope as a skeleton in the sand and was mentioned in the Heir to the Jedi novel. But it was really explored in the Knights of the Old Republic video game. The krayt dragon pearl is a very rare item and can only be obtained from the belly of the dragon. The pearl is a gizzard stone that the krayt dragon uses to help digest its food. The stone itself is of a milky color, and in the Knights of the Old Republic 1 was used as a focusing crystal to augment a lightsaber. It is pretty rare to even get the pearl, and it takes a while for it to form and take its shape in the belly of the krayt dragon. But more on that and other Easter eggs at the end of this video. Cobb and Mando strike a deal. Mando helps him kill the dragon, and he can have the armor. If Mando wasn't so honorable, he would have just shot him and been on his way. Only a true Mandalorian would agree to such a mission, honestly. As they both speed off into the desert, Cobb is riding on what appears to be one of Anakin's pod racer turbines. If only Cobb knew the history of the items he possesses. Cobb explains his backstory through a flashback. The end of the Empire, their celebration, the holovid of an exploding Death Star, and the end of occupation of Tatooine. But good news are quickly followed by the bad. The power vacuum left by the Empire has to be filled, and the local mining collective took the call and immediately took over the town. Cobb barely got away and managed to steal a Camtono security container full of very valuable Ciliax oxalate crystals. While almost dying in the desert of exhaustion, he is found by Jawas, who, despite him being almost dead, still traded his crystals for Boba Fett's armor, a blaster, and of course water. Boba Fett's armor is all dented and chewed up, which is how he escaped the Sarlacc pit presumably, but is still pretty valuable. Cobb Vanth comes back to Mos Pelgo with a vengeance and goes all Spirit of the West with his blaster, killing the miners, freeing the town, and becoming the Marshal. It's interesting that the targeting antenna, the helmet, and the jetpack with a power booster rocket are all still in operating condition. It was great seeing him use it and knowing that the miners were so terrified and fleeing from him only because they thought he was the infamous Boba Fett. Mando and Cobb arrive to a pack of mastiffs used as hounds by Tusken Raiders. Mando calls out in Tusken, and Sand People greet him as a friend. After some disagreements from Cobb, they all agree to work together and figure out a plan to kill the dragon. They need to blow up the softest part of the Krayt Dragon, the belly of the beast. They lure a bantha to the mouth of the cave so the dragon can feed as it sleeps longer after feeding. Both Sand People and the villagers unite together in the common goal of killing the destructive beast. They lay mines and explosive charges in the sand at the entrance of the cave. The plan goes sour, and the dragon proves to be too strong for the mines to kill him. So Mando, in a desperate attempt, allows the dragon to swallow him and the bantha loaded with explosives. He ends up shocking the beast with his Ambon Phase Pulse blaster and flies out of its mouth while detonating the bantha bomb and finally killing the great Krayt Dragon. It's a happy ending for all. Cobb and the villagers are rid of the dragon, Mando gets a giant chunk of the Krayt Dragon meat for himself, as well as Boba Fett's armor, and the Sand People find the ultra-rare Krayt Dragon Pearl, and the tribe celebrates in glorious victory. As Mando drives back through the desert, we see a lone figure watching him from a cliff. He turns around to reveal his face to the camera. It's Boba Fett. Boba at this point has to be in his late 40s, and the actor Temuera Morrison still fits the part and looks great even though he's about to turn 60. Boba walks off with a knowing look on his face. He was probably watching Mando since Season 1, Episode 5, and could probably give Mando all the information he needs to know about the Jedi, Clone Wars, Yoda, Palpatine, Vader, and of course other Mandalorians. After all, he was there from the very beginning of the Clone Wars. This opens up so many doors, and it's amazing to see where this can all go. I can't wait to see how Boba ties into the rest of the season. And now, let's explore the Easter eggs in this episode. Number 1. In the beginning where Mando and the child walk through the dimly lit streets, it's interesting to see how there are so many images graffitied on the walls that match the characters that we know. There is a Stormtrooper, a C-3PO, a Cyclops Vader, and a Jawa. There's also a Gamorrean, an Aqualish, TIE Fighter, and even Boba Fett's crest. I'm sure there are many more that are hidden. Number 2. Gor Koresh is played by John Leguizamo. I know this actor best from the 1993 action comedy Super Mario Bros., where he played Luigi. Check it out. It's not a serious movie, but it's got pretty good performances from Bob Hoskins as Mario and Dennis Hopper as President Koopa. At first, I couldn't even tell it was John Leguizamo, and upon rewatching, I still can't tell it's him. Pretty good performance, I must say. Number 3. Josh Moreno appears as Mos Pelgo resident, and sadly it's not Sam Witwer, as some believe. Check out his IMDb page. Look at his face. It matches up pretty well. Number 4. Cobb Vanth rides Anakin's pod racer turbine engine. How did he get it? Anakin Skywalker's pod racer was a custom-built propulsor craft pod racer built by the young Anakin Skywalker as a slave on Tatooine. He raced this during the Bunta Eve Classic race to secure his freedom and the replacement hyperdrive for the Queen Amidala ship. Cobb rides one of the custom-built pair of 620C racing engines made by the Raydon Ulzer Repulsor Lift Company. Perhaps Watto took it apart when Anakin left and sold it as 2 separate speeders. Ah, that Watto. Always looking to profit.
Deal!
Number 5. I'd like to show you a mission from the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic video game, the scene that inspired this episode of Mandalorian. This is where we get to take down the Krayt Dragon with the help of the local prize hunter, Comat Fortuna. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown. Subscribe and leave a like if you did. And let me know in the comments what you thought of the episode. I'll see you in the breakdown of episode 2. Cheers.